guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. As for my guy, he is 29 years old, and he shares his story how just a few months before his wedding, he kicked his fiancée to the curb after discovering she's been cheating on him. For how long she's been cheating on him, we still don't know about that. But he's been with her for 11 years. 11 years is a long time, and now she's toast. And as much as our guy handled the situation like a boss, and let me tell you, the way he goes about getting her to confess about this whole thing is definitely boss-like, he is going through a hard time. And so I'm doing this one as we definitely need to help this guy out. So definitely this is going to be, aside from an entertaining story, definitely we need some audience participation here from you guys, giving him some kind words, some suggestions for those you've been cheated on, how to get past this. Because the guy, again, like I said, understandably is going through a hard time. And that'd be a good story to go over here, guys, just to show you, you think you know somebody. 11 years you're with a girl and find out right before you get married, she's been having a full-on affair, a separate boyfriend. Not like an affair partner, a boyfriend. And all these other people knew. And you always have to pay attention to red flags, dig for red flags when they're not even there. And quite frankly, you get engaged nowadays, you probably might as well hire a PI to do some digging on her because, good Lord, you just never know these days. But anyhow, guys, a good one, but definitely, again, a guy needs our help today. He says, hello, SSM. I'll try to keep everything on point as I can without adding a bunch of crap that people don't really care about. Well, we appreciate that, sir. In short, my ex-fiancée, codenamed Kara, who's 28 years old, and I, George, 29 years old, started dating in our senior year of high school and have been together ever since. Before we started dating, we knew each other for more than 6 years. In total, our friendship and relationship spanned more than 18 years. Okay, so it sounds like you met her at the very end of like elementary school or primary school, beginning of middle school, something like that. Had classes together, were acquainted, but you weren't like BFFs or anything, and then you started dating. Senior year. Check. I can honestly say that I knew her as well as a person can know another person. You thought you did. I also spent a lot of time with her mom and dad over the years, and they loved me, and even after everything came out, at least I think they still do. But who really knows? My own family loved Kara as well, and have always believed that we would end up married, as did I. We dated for about 11 years before I proposed to her, and we were engaged for a little more than a year, when I either made the right decision and saved myself from a future divorce, or all the voices around me are saying I destroyed an almost 20-year friendship/relationship because of my own insecurities. Bro, I don't care if everybody around you is telling you that you shouldn't do it. If your gut is telling you you got to end things with her, move on, listen to your gut. And believe me here, you're going to get people that are going to tell you what they think. Except that the people here aren't fools. Except my parents. They are 100% behind my decision. Well, thank God for that. And those guys, he knew her for 11 years before he proposed. And I always say, take years to get to know your girl. But that doesn't mean it doesn't mean a guarantee. After 11 years, he thought he knew her. Well, apparently not. I'm not going to try and portray myself as some perfect human being with all the things women want. But I'm a hard worker, and I've always done what I could to make sure we had a fighting chance. I didn't go to college, mostly because I wasn't something that I wanted to do. Since I was 16 years old, I've worked with my dad, who is a carpenter. I did go to trade school and have made a good career with a company that builds roofs and floor trusses. For those that don't know what that is, it's the frames that floors and roofs on buildings are framed. I enjoy the work and have worked my way to a day shift supervisor overseeing 3 production buildings. Every now and then, I have to go on a site for a minor modification when they're installed. All in all, it's fulfilling work, and I get paid very well. That's awesome, man. You're doing something you love. And I might add, you don't have giant-ass college loans that you're going to be stuck paying off for 40 years. Maybe you obviously spent some money for trade school, but I'm sure it's a fraction what you would pay if you went to a 4-year college, and you're probably making way more money than that, than if you went to a 4-year. So good for you. Again, guys, you don't have to go to college. You can seek out a trade. Sorry for all the background info, and if you think it needs to be trimmed from the story, feel free. Well, I didn't. I already trimmed some stuff already from the beginning. As I mentioned before, I knew Kara's family for a long time, and like my own family, they were thrilled when I finally proposed to her last year. We were planning on a November 2024 wedding, and have been living together for nearly 3 years until I either effed up or made the right call this past June. Wow, so it's the end of September, so you would have been getting married within, the next 6 to 8 weeks. I still think I made the right call, but it would be nice to hear from others that aren't involved one way or the other. I see enough of your videos to know that you're going to laugh when I say this, but I honestly thought we had something special. I'm not going to laugh at you, man. I mean, you've been through enough shit, but a lot of guys say that, man. And then they find out that, guess what? They didn't have something special. They find out that their girl is acting like so many others out there. I'm not going to lie and say everything was rainbows and blue skies. We had our share of disagreements, but nothing out of the ordinary. Since we were kids, or teenagers, I really thought we were in tune with each other, but I guess I'm the only one that thought that. Real quick, I'm an only child, but Kara has an older sister by 2 years who is a divorced single mom, and a younger brother a year younger than her, who incidentally, at 27 years old, still is living with his parents. Seems to have a great difficulty keeping a job for more than a month or two, and spends most of his time playing video games. Yeah, he sounds like a real winner. Newsflash, he's going to be living with the parents at 37 years old. Probably the parents spoiled these kids. And her sister's the single MOM, huh? Plenty of those around. I'm guessing her husband didn't pass away in the line of duty as a firefighter, a police officer, military, just she chose the wrong guy, or who knows what it is. Not saying there's anything wrong with video games, but come on. Yeah, if you're doing that all day instead of having a fucking job, yeah, come on. I know Kara's dad is frustrated as hell, but he keeps supporting the lazy bum. Well, there you go. The dad's a moron. He's enabling his behavior. But probably mommy feels bad, and the mother influences the father. It was this past May and June when everything fell apart, but I didn't come to that conclusion until the middle of June. At my job, the summer months are usually the busiest, and it isn't uncommon for me to work several Saturdays a month, either on site or in remote locations. Kara and I have been engaged for a while, but the wedding planning didn't really kick into full gear until this past April. Normally, she, her mom, and sister would get together on the weekend to plan everything. I guess I could have gone, but I think I would rather watch paint dry than do that crap. Let's be honest, at the end of the day, all that bullshit is what the women want. They want all the, and the guy, here's the deal. You're getting married, it's your day too, gentlemen. But do you really care what the fucking flowers or centerpieces look like? Or do you really fucking care, all these stupid ass details? No. So you're like, whatever. But you are going to care who comes. You're going to care about the cost. You're going to care maybe about the fucking cake, but or the DJ and the music, but not a whole lot. So let her deal with it. As long as I knew where to stand, what to say, and where the reception was going to be held, that was all the information that I needed. All the other crap was meaningless to me. Sorry, not sorry. I'm a guy. I get it. It just happened that most of May and June I had to work extra shifts on Saturdays to meet our orders, and Kara spent those days hanging out with her mom and sister working on wedding plans. I didn't bat an eye. We usually visited her parents' house at least once a month for dinner to catch up. There was one thing I was working on with her dad, and I would sometimes go over when I had the time to help. Look, you're in peak season. You're busting your butt. You're there on weekends. You got to do what you got to do. You're a supervisor. This is your career that will be providing for her. And that's cool. You hang out with her old man. I'm just sorry what happened here. We were building a wooden deck in the backyard. It was something we've been working on for a few months, and we plan on getting it finished before the 4th of July so he could have a cookout. It's probably not necessary to mention, but his son didn't lift a finger to help. The lazy bastard, but I digress. Her dad wasn't much of a carpenter, but he could swing a hammer and was excellent buying beer. Well, there you go. It was on the 8th of June, on a Saturday, when I got a kick in the nuts. I was scheduled to work that day, and Kara was going to hang out with her mom and sister for more planning. This has been going on for almost 5 weeks, and had been about a month and a half since I had the time to help her down the deck that was almost finished. It was a normal day, as far as I knew, and when I left for work, I was on the site for about 3 hours before they called it a day because one of the generators went down. I decided to go and help Kara's down the deck and spend some time with Kara and her family. I got there about 11 in the morning, and the first thing I noticed was Kara's car wasn't there. But I figured she was probably out looking at stores or something like that. When I knocked on the door, her mom answered and looking around asked me where Kara was. That was my first gut punch, but I said she was probably out shopping. After a cup of coffee, her dad and I went to work on the deck and talked. It was little things he said that made me really start questioning what was going on. How interesting. One of the things he said to me was that it was nice to see me since we hadn't been over in a while. It was kind of an offhanded comment, but it did make me wonder what he was talking about. Throughout the afternoon and into the evening, we were able to finish the deck, except for staining and sealing, and in that time period, I was able to find out that Kara hadn't been to her parents' house in over a month. That was troublesome for a few reasons. Hang on here, didn't you say earlier that when you're working on Saturdays, she was always with her mom and sister planning wedding shit? That's the story she's telling you? And now the dad's saying, well, I haven't seen her for a month. Where's she been? First and foremost, for the last month, Kara was supposedly spending the Saturdays while I was working with her mom, who seemed to be completely unaware of it. Second, if she wasn't at her parents' house, where was she spending her days that she needed to lie to me about? My first guess was that she was hanging out with her sister doing the planning, but I still had doubts that their mom wouldn't know what was going on. I decided to ask her when she got home later. I left her parents' house around 5, and Kara didn't get home until a little after 8 p.m. How interesting. When she came in, she was all smiles talking about all the stuff that got planned. What an asshole. I asked her who was doing the planning with her, and she said that her mom and sister spent all day together working on everything, and they were almost finished. She went on to talk about the place settings and other crap that I didn't care about, and I was doing my best to keep a straight face, knowing she was lying to my face. That has got to hurt so bad. Now it's confirmed something's going on, and you watch the gal you love just lie to you to your face without a bit of hesitation. The only question I had running through my mind was that if she wasn't there where she claimed to be, where the hell was she, and what was she really doing that she felt the need to lie to me about? It was one of the longest nights of my life. I didn't confront her at that time, but spent most of the rest of the evening thinking about every possibility. The one thing that kept coming to my mind was that she was doing something wrong, and more than likely it was another man. It's usually how it goes. I'm amazed and impressed your ability to keep calm and not blow up at her. This is the time period that you do your research, your recon, investigate, get everything lined up. Nothing else made sense to me. If she was spending time with her sister or her friends, there would have been the reason to lie about it. Nothing I could come up with justified the lies unless it was a serious deal breaker. I briefly considered that maybe she was working on a surprise for me. Well, you're getting a surprise, sir, but not the kind of surprise you wanted. But in our entire relationship, she had never done anything like that, so I dismissed it as a possibility. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning when I got out of bed and checked her phone, but there was nothing in it. Did I feel bad for checking her phone behind her back? Nope, not one little bit. I didn't get much sleep that night, and I think she could tell something was wrong Sunday morning. See, guys, women aren't stupid. Women pick up on more shit, subtle differences in behavior, tone of voice, body language, more than your average guys do. That's just how they're wired. Not to mention, she's going to be on defense because she's obviously up to no good. And I wouldn't feel bad checking her phone either. But I just brushed it off as not getting a lot of sleep. It wasn't a lie. I spent most of the morning doing yard work and trying to come up with some reasonable excuse for the lie. And by the time I finished mowing the grass, I realized that I was acting like an idiot. It was easy enough to figure out. I ended up calling her dad and inviting her parents over for dinner that night, which he happily agreed. I didn't tell Kara that I invited her parents over, mostly because I wanted to see her reaction when they showed up. If there was a reasonable excuse, I wanted to hear it, and I wanted witnesses. I couldn't get past the lie. If she would lie about that, what else was she lying about? Exactly. You want to talk about a long-ass afternoon waiting for dinner? That was it. For her part, Kara was acting like she always did. At one point, she caught me staring at her and asked me what I was doing. I just told her that I was admiring how beautiful she is, and she smiled and let it go. Oh, thanks. I ended up making lasagna for dinner, which was helpful since it keeps my hand busy in the kitchen. Throughout the entire day, I was watching Kara, and she was the same as she always was, and it was driving me crazy. If she was doing something wrong, she should have looked guilty or something, right? Nothing. Yeah, they're great actresses. Her parents and her brother arrived at a little past 6 p.m., and Kara was surprised when she opened the door, but let them in. After she got them seated at the table, she came to the kitchen and asked me what her parents were doing there, and I told her I invited them for dinner and said I thought I mentioned it. Hey, if she can lie and bullshit, so can you. She said I did. She said that I didn't, and I apologized and said it must have slipped my mind. If she can lie to me, I can lie to her. Fair is fair, right? I agree. She ended up getting everyone a drink, and I told them dinner would be ready pretty soon. I could see their faces since I was in the kitchen, but at one point her dad mentioned that he was glad I was able to help him finish the deck the previous day. It didn't take long, or Kara long, to come into the kitchen and ask me what her dad was talking about, and I told her I spent most of the day at her parents' house helping her dad. Uh-oh, she knows something's up. She said she thought that I was at work all day and asked her why I didn't tell her when she got home. I told her that since she was lying to my face about where she spent the day, I didn't feel the need to tell her anything. She started making some excuses, but I cut her off and told her to set the table and turn my back on her to get the food out of the oven. She just stood there for a minute, not saying anything. Nice work, man. Before I heard her getting plates and silverware out, I could only imagine the lie she was coming up with to cover her other lie. Don't give her a lot of time, man. She's going to come up with a bullshit story. Or text her sister or text her mom to cover for her or something. By the time I got the food to the table, I could see Kara watching me nervously, but she didn't say anything. Dinner was nice, and her dad and I talked about the deck while I gave him some tips for staining and sealing it, while Kara and her mom spent most of the time talking about the wedding. It's funny, but Kara kept glancing at me like she wanted to say something, but I ignored her. It took all my strength not to say something, but I didn't want to ruin dinner. Well, who wants to mess up a good lasagna? And please tell me you made good garlic bread with this lasagna. Now I want to have fucking lasagna. It was after dinner, when we were having coffee in the living room and relaxing, that I couldn't hold back anymore. In the middle of the conversation, I asked, "So, Kara, where were you yesterday?" She almost choked on her coffee, but she said she was out shopping for wedding supplies. That was when her mom chimed in and said that she thought everything was done, and she asked why didn't she invite her along. I've heard people talk about the blood draining from someone's face, but I'd never actually seen it before. It was kind of scary. Kara mumbled something about she didn't think her mom would want to go since they didn't have much to pick up. That's when I asked her if there wasn't much to pick up, why did you get home after 8 p.m.? Aha. Where else did you go? She said that she and her friend were just hanging out, and she asked me why I was interrogating her. Here we go, twisting it around like you're the bad guy here. I told her because you lied to me about where you were and who you're with. By the way, where were you the last 5 Saturdays? You told me you were with your mom, and she says she hasn't seen you in a month. This time her mom didn't say anything, and her dad was watching her while her brother was sitting there shaking his head. Uh-huh. I heard it is said that when you're digging a hole, it is best to stop digging while you can still see sunlight. Kara didn't say anything, but she kept looking between her mom and me, almost like she was looking for a lifeline. It was her dad that broke the silence and asked her what she'd been doing. That's when she started tearing up. Oh, for God's sakes, here we go with the waterworks. That's when she started tearing up and said she didn't like that everyone was ganging up on her. Her brother started laughing, and I swear he said, "You might as well tell him you know you were caught." Tell me what, future brother-in-law, who sits on his ass and plays video games all day instead of getting a fucking job and being a loser and doing nothing with his life. Kara's eyes went wide, and her dad and him what he was talking about. He went on to tell all of us that he overheard Kara and her sister talking about the guy she was dating behind my back, and that her sister warned her she was going to get caught just like she did. Okay. Big surprise. She has a boyfriend behind her fiancé's back. And the sister, who is a single MOM, who screwed up her marriage, you heard it right here, knows about it. And the brother knows about this, but he overheard it but didn't say anything. Man, what a great family. Sounds like the only person in that family that is worth anything is the father. I never knew why Kara's sister got divorced, but it all made sense right now. I knew her husband for a long time. He was a good guy. At least he didn't strike me as an a-hole. I guess cheating runs in the family. Yep. Her dad blew up. He was on his feet yelling at Kara saying, "Tell me it isn't true." But all Kara did was lower her head. Let me guess, more fucking waterworks. Then he turned on his son and asked him how long he's known and why he never said anything. The lazy bastard said he's known for about 3 months, and he didn't say anything because it was none of his business. Bullshit. I bet you this brother-in-law, this brother, probably resented you, my friend, because you are a guy that's hardworking, making something of yourself, and, in his eyes made him look bad, so he resented you. I'm sure this brother probably was told by the father, why can't you be more like, you know what I mean? What a prick. Her dad could have spit fire while I felt like I was having a heart attack. Her dad told his son that he should have said something and he had a month to find a job and a new place to live. All right. Then Kara's brother dropped the Moab in the living room. He said, that's bullshit. Mom knew too, but you aren't throwing her out. Holy fucking shit, the mother knows too? Oh my God. Dude, I'm so sorry. I've known Kara's dad for a long time, and that was the first time I've ever seen him speechless. His face was beet red, and I was worried that he might have been having a heart attack. Just like so many of your stories, that's when the apologies and the I can explain and the it's not what you think and a few other things I can't remember came out. Of course, it's all from the Hobag Handbook. My body was completely numb, but I was able to tell her to take off the engagement ring and that we were done. Amen. The entire room was as quiet as a crypt, except for Kara crying, but she wasn't moving. Bitch, shut the fuck up and get out of my house. And give me the goddamn ring back. I'm going to fucking go on a quest with that ring, and we're going to throw that fucking ring into a hot lava pit like Mountain Doom and Lord of the Rings. The one ring that controlled them all, not anymore, bitch. That's when everything caught up to me, and my anger arrived in flying colors and fireworks. I got up and yelled at her to take off the fucking ring, which she did, and after she jumped at my yelling. Her dad started apologizing, but I held up my hand to him and told him I didn't blame him for anything, but I was going to leave for an hour, and Kara and all her stuff better be gone when I get back, or it's going to be thrown in the trash. My man, good job. That's when Kara started sobbing and tried to run over and hug me. But when her dad stopped her and nodded to me, I headed for the door, and even after closing it, I could still hear Dad yelling at all of them. Can you imagine just how absolutely disgusted and disappointed this father is? His loser-ass son, both his daughters are cheaters, effing up their relationships, and his bitch-ass wife knew all along. And you're a great guy for her, and I'm willing to bet you the guy that she's cheating on you with is nothing like you. Maybe he has a few neck tattoos and drinks too much and probably doesn't have a job, something like that. But give her the butterflies. I stayed away for about 2 hours to make sure I wasn't going to run into any of them and gave me time to go over to my parents' house and fill them in on what happened. My mom was sad there wasn't going to be a wedding, but she said that I did the right thing. Thank God. I hate these stories when guys are cheated on and their mom gives them shit. She said, as long as you've been together and she could still do it to you, you could never trust her, and that was the first time. That one hit hard. She was my first and only, and the thought that she was stepping out on me throughout our relationship was hard to even think about. But knowing what I know now and how calm she always acted around me tells me my mom was probably right. You don't learn to lie that easily and calmly overnight. Like any other skill, it takes practice. Well, sadly, these gals are masters at this by the time they're fucking teenagers. And here's the question. How long has this been going on? How many times has she cheated on you through your entire relationship? I mean, really? How many people know? And I guarantee there's more people that know than her a-hole sister, her jerk-off brother, and her bitch-ass mom. I guarantee a lot of her friends know because she's got to gossip about the affair to somebody. That was all a few months ago, and I've basically been a zombie on cruise control. I work, eat, and sleep, but I'm trying to stay busy to keep my mind off everything. But it's hard when you have a lifetime memories with someone. Now I find myself questioning every time she was out with her friends, or out shopping, or basically every time she was out of my sight. I don't blame you, bro. How could you not question all that? And you've been with her all these years. I mean, more than half of your life. I mean, just you spend enough time with someone, like your identity is connected to them. You ain't going to get over this shit overnight. That's normal. The fact that you're functioning and going to work every day and doing what you got to do is very impressive. A lot of guys would break down. They would never leave their house, start drinking, eating like crap, doing drugs, all sorts of things, not eat. I cannot help but question that my entire relationship was a lie and that the one that really cuts like a knife is wondering how many of our friends knew about it and never said anything. I'm sure a lot did, dude. Secrets are a funny thing. The only way to truly keep a secret between two people is to kill one of them. All in all, my life is a mess, and I have no idea how to move forward. Tara tried to talk to me, but I told her dad that he needed to get her to stop because I didn't want to file a restraining order. But if she kept harassing me, I was going to. Good. Mean what you say and say what you mean. She keeps bugging you, do a restraining order. That was a few months back, and other than a random friend calling to check on me, I basically cut out all of our mutual friends because I have no idea how many, if any, knew what was going on. I have no idea why someone who claims to love you can cause so much pain and smile at you. Sadly, brother, you are not alone. Okay, enough whining from me. Oh yeah, her dad did kick her brother out, and he threatened to divorce her mom, but I have no idea if he's going through with it at all. I'm liking the dad. The dad ain't no saint. The dad obviously raised those kids, and those kids are assholes, every one of them, but something tells me the mother really handled how those kids were raised. At the end of the day, she had the final say, which means dad was pee-whipped, but still. It's a shame we never get a chance to christen the deck on the 4th of July. My mom said that I should think about getting some counseling, and she might be right. It's been 3 months, and I haven't been able to do more than put one foot in front of the other. It almost feels like the same as it does when a loved one dies. I have so many questions that keep me awake at night, and I know I'll never get any real answers, but it's hard to shut up the voices in my head. Anyway, that's my story, and maybe it will help someone, or maybe not, but it helped writing everything down. I'm sure I missed a lot, but thinking is not one of the strong suits right now. Thank you for the work that you put out there, SSM. Your stories have really helped me process a lot of my own feelings. Well, bro, I'm so sorry you're going through this shit. But if there's any silver lining here, at least you found it before you married the bitch. That would have been way worse. A lot of guys tell me when they write in their stories that it really is therapeutic for them. Writing it out and then hearing it covered on this channel and having dudes from all over the world of all different backgrounds and ages who has different levels of experience chime in. It really makes them feel better. So that's why I'm doing this, and I really do hope you writing it out, of course, and of course hearing it makes you feel better. And by hearing the many comments, and you will get a lot of comments on this, my friend, will help you out and set you on the right path. But all I can say is this, is that it's going to take time. If you're, I think you said you're 28 or 29, something like that, and you've known her since you were like 10 years old, and you've been with her since high school, so you're talking like, 12, 13 years. Yeah, it's a massive chunk of your life. Your identity is around this girl, whether you like it or not, but guess what? So's hers. You with her. So I don't think it's over with her reaching out to you, regardless of the restraining order threat. She's going to think you're still the same nice guy or should I say good guy, that eventually she can wear you down and you'll take her back. But if you're telling me that you have everybody in your life is basically making you out to be the bad guy here for not giving her another chance, or saying that you ruined this or something like that, they're out of their fucking minds. Having this affair for Lord knows how long, and everybody in her family except her dad knew about that, that is just awful. And you're about to be married in a few months. So no, there's no taking her back. But remember, most people that give advice about relationships are usually in one that makes them miserable, so misery loves company, or they're young and inexperienced, so I'm guessing most of your mutual friends are young and inexperienced, or they like you two together, so their world changes because you're not together, or they were looking forward to your wedding, or some crap like that. Well, you know what, she can go be with the guy she was cheating on you with, but I guarantee you, that guy probably ain't going to marry her. And she has to start over, and she's now in her late 20s, so her prime is coming to an end. Your prime, man, is just beginning. Your guy's doing well for yourself and into your career. You're going places. You might have your own construction business one day. Who the fuck knows? And make a lot of money and do very well and take pride in your work. And you will gain this experience still relatively young because you're going to be okay. It's going to take time, but you're going to be all right. Meanwhile, her prime's ending. And she's going to have a reputation because people are going to talk. Guaranteed. But if she's good looking, I'm assuming she is because I'm sure you wouldn't be dating an ugly chick. She'll find some sucker, because there's no shortage of suckers out there, but you're not going to be that sucker anymore. And you'll come from this situation wiser. And just like in all the stories I cover, you'll know always pay attention to red flags. You'll trust but verify, that type of thing. But that is such a shame. If you didn't come home, didn't leave work early that day, you may have never found this out and would have married her. And she would have continued this on when you were married because that's how these types are like. So she'd get kicks. You're the stable one, but she got her kicks with somebody else, some jerk off with a neck tattoo. But anyhow, no. And anybody that's giving you a hard time about this, I wouldn't have them in your life now. But thank God for your family. I'm really glad that they support you and all that. And I'm sure you really missed the relationship you had with her dad. because he sounds like a cool guy. And I'm glad he kicked that jerk-off brother of hers out of the house. But anyhow, my only advice is take it one day at a time. I know you're a busy guy, and summer's ending, so your peak season's over. But if you don't do it already, I'd recommend joining a gym, getting some exercise. That's good therapy as well. You may feel like crap, and it's hard to motivate yourself to get to the gym to exercise. Once you're there moving, hitting the weights, doing whatever you do physically, you'll feel better. And that'll give you a clear head for a while to figure things out. Just take it one day at a time. You're going to be okay. But that's quite a story, and I'm sorry I went through this, but you know what? Could have been worse. You could have married her. But remember, you're going to move past this. You're a prize. You're going into your prime, and her prime is ending. But don't forget that if she pushes you too far, restraining order. That'll make her look like a fool. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Take a moment, guys, and chime in. You've been through this in some degree like him. Chime in. Give him some advice. Give him some support. He needs it. I really want to help this guy out. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.